Welcome back to Everything Wetsuits from Wetsuit Outlet. We're here again, and this time we're bringing you an update on the autumn-winter collection from Rip Curl. As always, Everything Wetsuits is about giving you as much information in the most simple way possible on new ranges and full ranges of wetsuits from the best brands across the planet. And here we are today with one of the very, very best. We're going to be bringing you what's new, what's changed, what's improved, and what you can get excited for this winter, and you can make yourself surf for longer, enjoy the water more, have more flexibility, more comfort, and everything because Rip Curl have delivered. Let's just dive into Everything Wetsuits Rip Curl. So as always with Everything Wetsuits, we start with technology, terminology, construction talk. Now, we've got a full Everything Wetsuits video on the Rip Curl range that we done last year, and that has the meanings of E7, E6, E5, and what that gives you. Essentially the stretch profiles and the patterns in there. The main changes for this season come from improvements on current technology, some name changes, and a big change in some of the constructions which I'll talk to you about. Firstly, we'll talk about the Fusion. So the Fusion welded seams, the seams that don't leak claim, they've been worked on and improved. They were already elite level, they didn't leak. They've been improved for their stretch and their flexibility, and more confidence has gone into those seams. So you can still find that on the Fusion, but what you will now find is Fusion welded seams through the Flash Bomb range. So the Flash Bomb Pro and the Flash Bomb will now have the Fusion welded seams, so the seams that don't leak claim. Also on here you can see this taping. This is called Ultimate Taping now. Essentially it's a slightly lower profile, so not as noticeable when you got it on the wetsuit. Performance is still where that E7 lining was, taping was, but it's just a new name, so you're not missing out on anything. If anything, it's an improvement with that lower profile as well. So you've got that, and then the main big one is this blue lining, this thermo lining, and anything that's E6 or lower. So when I reference that when we go through the ranges, they are now Osina made natural rubber foam. So they're sustainable, and a big step in sustainability with Rip Curl doing that. They could have gone earlier and done this in different seasons and sooner, but the main thing for Rip Curl was ensuring that for customers, for us, that performance and durability was tested heavily before they went into that, because it's great if they go, here's natural rubber, here's sustainable products, and they fall apart, or we don't have that trust in them, and then we've always got those questions. They've been testing this for a long time. E6 down is now part of that, so it's ticking the sustainable box, but also giving you, if anything, improved performance with that trust that you have in that Rip Curl name. So that's the biggest changes. We will also go into slightly other changes when we go through each range, which we're going to do now. The first wetsuit range we're going to talk about is the incredible Fusion wetsuits, the Fusion Flash Bomb from Rip Curl. I've already spoken about the changes that have been made. We're going to go into them a little bit deeper. First of all, we'll start with it inside out, and just to show off again that head to toe, like super fluffy lining. Like, you are not gonna get tired of how this feels on your skin. It's like a cuddle, super warm, really nice to surf in any weather. It's incredible. I've had mine over a year now, thanks to Rip Curl, and it's never let me down, and there's a few reasons for that. The seams that don't leak claim is very much something that I can back up, and what they've been working on since the original release to this season is improving those seams and improving the fit of the wetsuit to help with the pressure on the seams as well. So if you look at the wetsuit now, two big changes, if we just lose that card for now, is that it's a chest zip. So previously these were only zip free. They've now got the chest zip version, which allows a little bit of a freer movement and that classic easy entry. And they have changed the underarm. So the way that it fits underarm is giving more flexibility, more stretch, and taking pressure off of the seams. So it means it's going to be more durable. The seams are going to perform for longer for you, and it's also going to be more flexible. In a cold water wetsuit, that's really, really important, because you don't want to be getting your flexibility with a compromise on the thickness of the rubber. You want it in how the wetsuit fits and where the panel placement is, and that strategic kind of fit that's gone into this. A lot of time and effort has gone into this, because this suit was already fantastic. That stretch is crazy as well. In a wetsuit that's this performance in how it stretches, how it fits, and the cold water performance of this wetsuit, it does demand its position as one of, if not the best, cold water wetsuit. You can just see how warm it's going to be. Just showing you the stretch of the suit. As I've said before, the fusion welded seams all the way, and then it's got the extra seams here, which is in the critical positionings to just improve on the suits as well. The fusion is an incredible wetsuit, highly recommended by everyone at Wetsuit Outlet and myself. If you're looking for that elite level cold water performance that ticks every box, the fusion is the one to look for. Okay, so moving on from the Fusion Flash Bomb to the Flash Bomb and the Flash Bomb Pro. I'm going to talk about the Flash Bomb first, and then the difference and why they have a Flash Bomb Pro, and it's definitely needed as well. But we'll go through that. So the Flash Bomb, which I have inside out here because that's where the money shot is. So this is the Flash Bomb, not the Flash Bomb Pro, is lined head to toe. It is the E7 thermal lining on the top, and then waist down E6. That's obviously to give you extra stretch for your shoulders, but it carries that warmth through the body. As mentioned in the intro, a big change to the wetsuit for this season is the Fusion welded seams, which you can see but can't see here. So the improved seams, and then you can see where the taping is and the critically taped areas obviously here as well. Another staple, and you can't have a conversation about cold water wetsuits without mentioning the Flash Bomb from Rip Curl. It's been around for a long time. That name has continuously improving it year on year, as they have again. Extremely stretchy. What you can't see is a chest zip model for the Flash Bomb. And again, just ticks every box for cold water performance. You know, 4.3s in these are a great wetsuit going into the winters and coming out of the winters, and then your 5 mils taking you through the deep, dark, cold months. 5 mils in this with these linings that you're going to feel keep you super warm. They also, the linings dry really fast, so the outside of your suit might stay a little bit damp like day to day, but really if you get this used and then hung, inside's going to be nice to put on session after session as well, which is a really key part. They also are smooth to get on and off, which is again, for a winter suit, I think is a hugely underrated part of how important that is. You're standing in a cold car park or somewhere and you've got your wetsuit stuck on your leg, you're falling over, it's never good. These are good to get on and off. That's the Flash Bomb. And then, as I say, we will go, one thing I'll show you here that this has, as well as the Pro, is this new textured feel to the outer. So again, it stretches great. The feel, the softness, I feel like it's a bit extra stretchy as well in that, and it also looks really nice. It kind of looks to me like it's a bit less old style wetsuity. So I really like that. That is on the Flash Bomb as well as the Flash Bomb Pro, which is here. And the biggest differences between the Flash Bomb and the Flash Bomb Pro externally, essentially, is that the Flash Bomb Pro is zip free and the Flash Bomb, OG is chest zip. Internally, so what you have is, as mentioned again on the intro, so this E7 thermal lining, this blue section is now sustainable natural rubber foam from Wetsuit. And then you have the E6 lining throughout. The reason you have that as a difference from the Flash Bomb to the Flash Bomb Pro is performance. You get a slightly lower profile, slightly lighter weight feel, increased stretch through the shoulders and through the performance part of this wetsuit, with still the fantastic warmth through, and again, fusion welded seams with the critical taping throughout as well. So essentially, that's the difference. Increased warmth, increased performance, but again, you're ticking both boxes on both. If you're in a slightly warmer part of the world where you still need a 5mm or a 4mm, but the water's not as cold, or you're just a bit less prone to feeling the cold, you can go for a Flash Bomb Pro and get more stretch, more flex. Vice versa, if you feel the cold or if you're in a colder part of the world, go for the Flash Bomb. You're still going to get flex, but you get extra warmth. That is the Flash Bomb and the Flash Bomb Pro. So one thing also to add, the Flash Bomb, not the Flash Bomb Pro, is also available in the hooded, integrated hood, which is like obviously a key staple for winter. You can get this in a 4mm, 5mm and 6mm hooded version where the hood is lined as well. And it's also kind of smooth skin hood, so that's really good for wind protection and obviously warmth on the inside. So every cold water option ticked there. The 4.3 is a really good, the 4.3 hooded is a really good choice for like winter, like going into winter and out of the winter and most of the winter, and especially in places like Cornwall and south of France and Portugal, places like that. So yeah, that's the hooded option as well, which is on the Flash Bomb, not the Flash Bomb Pro, but incredible. Okay, next is maybe the exciting part for the whole range. I mean, the whole range is great, but there's a lot of changes and tweaks and really cool new parts to the E-Bomb range from Rip Curl, which is what we're going to talk about now. So I'll start inside out. This is an E-Bomb. First of all, this is the ultimate super stretch wetsuit that is now ticking sustainability boxes, because Wetsuit, have worked with Rip Curl. So this is now a natural rubber based foam throughout. As mentioned, if you could see the blue thermal lining, it is featuring that sustainable natural rubber foam. So that whole wetsuit is. What is also important to notice or to note on that is that these are water-based laminations and recycled jersey linings. So they tick more boxes rather than just the natural-based foam. They're obviously using the recycled jersey linings as well. The water-based lamination is really important because basically if you don't do that, then you're still producing a load of harmful chemicals and fumes. So that's very important to point out. In terms of performance, the wetsuits stretch and rebound, if not better than they ever have before. They have a double lined neck, so it's really comfortable to wear for long sessions, even in the thicker sizes. This comes in a 3.2, 4.3 and 5.3. Another really big change is that it is using the ultimate taping throughout, and the taping is just internally. That's for comfort and for style. If I just grab that, if you can imagine this had taping all on the outside as well as the inside, it just kind of would look bad. So there's a lot of thought that's gone into the performance, the style, the durability and the sustainability with the E-Bomb, which is why I think especially on the price point when you talk about that as well, this is a phenomenal wetsuit. So as I said, so E7 thermal lining is from this line up through the shoulders, through that stretch, and then E6 down. So you still get plenty of warmth. It's a high pile jersey, dries quick. Obviously you get that head to toe as well. And I just can't get over how much these stretch. Like, if my arm could go longer, that would stretch further. Talking about changes as well, as mentioned on the Flash Bomb video, this jersey feel and look to the outside of these suits is new. It looks incredible. It feels really, really good. As mentioned, I'm pretty sure it's giving it more stretch and rebound, even if that is a byproduct. You've got a beautiful wetsuit there. And as mentioned, you can now get this in a few colors and in chest zip or in zip free. The zip free obviously has slightly less restriction, ultimate movement. The chest zip is still that classic entry, easy entry, getting it on and off, even though the zip free is so easy to get on and off, and there's some misconceptions about that. And men's and women's, you get some really, really nice colors, or you can go obviously like the classic black. Ticks every box, incredible wetsuit. I think if you're after a 4mm or a 5.3 for winter and you're surfing a lot, you're paddling a lot, you're going session after session after session, and you're looking for a really good wetsuit that is performance based but is also really warm, that E-Bomb is untouchable in ticking every box. Yeah, it is the ultimate super stretch wetsuit, as Ripco claim. And on the E-Bomb, the last part of that, what makes it a great cold water suit for performance as well, is that you get the hooded version. So you get that textured feel through the hood that is so soft. You still get the lining, really, really comfortable. You're not feeling like your face is going like this when you've got a hood on, and it just adds that warmth. I think an integrated hood, if you're performing against, so the E-Bomb comes in a 5mm with the integrated hood, I think that would be warmer than most 6mm where you have to put an external hood on, in my weird scientific way of working that out. So you can also get this in the hooded option, as you can see here. Okay, so the next range we're going to be talking about is another range that's had a lot of changes and tweaks and improvements, and it's very, very exciting, especially at the price point that you can get on this wetsuit. So we are talking about the Dawn Patrol. So in this section, I'm going to talk about the Dawn Patrol and the Dawn Patrol Pro, but firstly, we're going to be talking about the Dawn Patrol. So what's important to know about this is that, as mentioned, 100% of this is working with Osina, is sustainable focused. It's the natural rubber foam alternative to neoprene, which is amazing. Again, comparing this to last year, I think the stretch has improved. I think the rebound's improved. The feel is really, really soft. As mentioned, from the Flash Bomb, E-Bomb, down to the Dawn Patrols, you get the double lined neck for increased comfort, especially on those longer sessions, and easy getting it on and off. This is the inside. This is the outside. This is a hooded version as well, which you could get. We'll talk about that. So going through this, again, as mentioned, water-based laminations and the recycled internal jerseys. So it ticks it ticks every sustainable box that it needs to, not just a couple or one, which is great. So the Dawn Patrol changes as well. Last year, this thermal lining here would have cut off. You now get a longer panel running from your chest to the top of your knee, and then on your back, you get the critical flash lining on the bottom, lower back, your kidneys, and then you get the thermo lining running the length of the back of your legs. So incredibly warm, great stretch. You've got the E5 stretch throughout. You've got the E5 flash lining with the E4 stretch lining. So great stretch, and as you can see, the critical areas are still taped for durability and performance and stopping those leaks that come in and make you freezing. Very, very good wetsuit. The key thing to be said on this is a sustainable, natural rubber-based wetsuit in a 5mm. The prices haven't changed since last year, which is a massive tick in Ripco's box. And for the Dawn Patrol, that's 5mm off the top of my head is 280 quid for a 5mm wetsuit that stretches like this, keeps you warm, dries really fast. The durability on the Dawn Patrols is something to be really looked into as a massive tick as well. They last really well. So great suit. You can use these, the 6mm version, pretty much take on any cold water that you want. The 4mm and the 5mm is really great for pretty much every season and every kind of step that you go into those colder waters. So 6mm for your Februaries, 4mm for Aprils and Octobers, depending on where you are. If you're in Scotland, you're going to be 6mm the whole time. And you're probably going to be wanting the hooded option. So the hooded option does come in a 6.4 and a 5.4. Just drop that down there. Great hood. Again, it doesn't squash your face. It's really easily adjustable. It's got the little peak as well. I like the little peak for adjusting the hood as well as for water dropping and running off. Really sleek, clean, chest zip entry. Wonderful suit. Again, it's not heavy as well. This is the 6mm. The 6mm stretches. Look at that. Like, impressive. Really impressive. The improvements, the tweaks and the improvements that Ripco have made to these suits at the price points they are as well is a massive well done. What we'll then move to is what Ripco called the Dawn Patrol Pro. So the difference is mainly internally, this doesn't have the flash lining. So this is E5 throughout. This is still 100% the sustainable credibilities that this has. So Osina, natural rubber foams, incredible stretch again. Does have the critical taping for the performance, the durability and that warmth profile. But this is really strong when you talk about price point. This is under £250 for a 5mm wetsuit from Ripco. That, I can now say, is a sustainable, eco-friendly option as well. So you're not paying heaps of money just to help the planet. You're getting a wetsuit that's going to be great for you, help the planet, and help your pocket or your wallet or your purse or your bank balance or all of those. Incredible wetsuit, very sleek design. And then what I wanted to point out on the Dawn Patrol and the Dawn Patrol Pro is the color profiles that you can get as well. So a lovely looking sleek black in the Pro, and then in the Pro a couple of other color options you have here. Men's with this really kind of throwback retro logo, which looks really cool. And then women's again, wonderfully branded, a little bit brighter. If you're not feeling the blackout vibe on here, and then in the Dawn Patrol again, really cool color there with the panels. And women's, this print I think is great, and also chest zip and back zip, so you can throw back to the real core back zip days and you still get great stretch, and this print looks great. Just to also show the level of the back zip, so inside out on the back zip, the lining is exactly the same, and the lining is on the back is on this bat wing. So when the zip gets cold, And if you get like, if this little protective bit of material folds over or anything like that, you're still not getting freezing cold zip on your back, or if any water does ingress through there as well, it's caught by this and your back is warmed up by that flash line in there. So everything's been thought of, back zip or chest zip on the Dawn Patrol, and price point is a really key part of that. Bang for buck, and for that pound for pound, you're going to struggle to find something that competes or like ticks all of the boxes that this does, especially with the changes they brought in for this autumn winter. So that is the Dawn Patrol. Again, another suit that we really back and we really recommend for anyone looking for that cold water wetsuit, that winter suit, 4 freeze up to 6mm hoodeds. So that's the Dawn Patrol range. So that is a deep dive into the autumn winter range of wetsuits from Rip Curl. As I've said many times before, a good wetsuit can be let down by not good accessories, or what I mean by that is if you have bad boots, bad gloves, not the right hood or no hood, your wetsuit can be as good as it likes to be, but you're going to get cold. So Rip Curl, don't let that happen. You can choose a wide range of gloves, lobster mitts, full mitts. I'm a big fan of a full mitt for warmth and extra paddle power as well. You feel like you're paddling real fast. So yeah, you've got a full range of that. You've got boots that are going to back up your wetsuit from Rip Curl. You've got wetsuit wash that I've just dropped as well, which is famous, the piss off wetsuit wash from Rip Curl as well. And then you also have changing buckets, which I'm going to use. Definitely underrated, especially for in winter. You can stand in this, take your wetsuit off straight away, car's nice and dry. And then I wanted to mention the range of hoods. So integrated hoods into your rash vest, which are really, really good. So you get it's essentially the